So my objective today is to create subnets out of one large network. So what my objective is, I'm going to split a large network into smaller pieces, and this is called subnetting. Clear? So our objective is to perform subnetting on a large network. Now I have been assigned a network. So just imagine that this is a network which I have been assigned. So let's say this is a network that I have been assigned with 192.168. maybe 23.0/24. Okay, so this is a network which I've been assigned with. Okay, and let's imagine like I am a maybe a service center. Okay, so we are a software company service center, or maybe some सर्विस सेंटर का एग्जांपल नहीं लेते, उधर इतने सारे कंप्यूटर्स की ज़रूरत नहीं होती है. ठीक है, कोई ऐसा लेते हैं कि हमारा एक ब्रांच है, हम सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट कंपनी है. So I am a software development company, and we have multiple branches in various cities, right? So we write web-based application. Maybe like a company, someone requires a PHP website. ठीक है ना, a website written in PHP, or maybe an application designed for Android. ठीक है ना? So we write these types of softwares for our customers. Okay, and customer can be someone like Uber, or maybe it is someone like Swiggy, or maybe a new shop. ठीक है, a chain, a new brand in market. ठीक है, so these people want websites, they want applications written. So we write softwares for such company who cannot afford their own dedicated software developers team. So we have a team of software developers, and we write softwares for various organizations, right? So this is one example, and I have such branches of my company in the market, right? So maybe I have branch in Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, almost most of the cities we are covering. ठीक है, so the branch in Pune is 192.168.23.0/24. This IP address has been assigned by an architect to us in Pune. And let's imagine I am a Pune's network engineer. I am the responsible person in Pune, ठीक है ना, for networking. So what I have to do, I have to use this specific network 192.168.23.0/24 in Pune. Clear? I cannot use anything other than this. If I try to use 192.168.24.0/24, or maybe 192.168.20.0, ठीक है ना, तो that network might be used in Delhi, or maybe it is used in Chennai or somewhere else. Okay, so my network, my office, where I'm not using 23 instead of 23, I'm using 192.168.22, yeah, maybe 20, yeah, 18, yeah, 17, some other subnet. Okay, which was not actually assigned to me. If I use such unassigned subnet which is not actually assigned to me, maybe it was assigned to someone else, and there is a conflict in our topology now. One of the sites in Chennai is conflicting with the Pune site, because what happened is the administrators in Pune, मतलब हम लोगों ने, what we have done, we have used a wrong network in Pune, so you cannot change the network. Clear? ठीक है ना? So you are assigned a different block, and the administrators in the different branches will be assigned a different block. Now in my branch I have few departments. Okay, so these are the departments in my branch. So I have, let's say, management department. ठीक है, so firstly I have management department where I need, let's say, 7 IP address. ठीक है, secondly I have some type of, let's say, marketing and department. ठीक है, where we need maybe 30 IP addresses. Okay, thirdly I have some type of developers department. ठीक है ना, where we need 55 addresses. ठीक है, and lastly I have admins team. ठीक है, administrators, these are the operations engineers who are going to manage your servers, take care of your own infrastructure, your network, the computers which the developers or marketing people are using. If these computers have software failure or some type of service crash, so these are the teams who are going to fix it. ठीक है, so there is a team of administrators for our own organization, and such we have, let's say, 6 administrators, 6 people. We need 6 IP address for this team. Okay, so anyways, remember this, कि if in an organization, if you're an organization, and if you have like 30 people in a department, So you are not going to count कि you are going to need 30 IP addresses. ठीक है? What we count is the number of devices the department is going to be dependent on, right? Okay. So here I am assuming कि management people there are only 4 people in management, HR including HR and everyone, right? So it's a common department for us. HR, managers, everything included. We have only 4 people, and the total number of IP addresses they require is 7 IP addresses. They have biometric device, they have printer, and they have various different types of things in their department. So we need total of 7 IP addresses. Similarly, we have marketing department, right? In marketing, there are only 15 people, but we have marketing's website, we have marketing's applications. We have various tools marketing department is going to use. Maybe they have 7 printers in marketing department, right? So basically, marketing requires 30 IP addresses, okay? But there may be only 15 people. Okay? Next thing is developers department. Now in developers department there are 50 people and we need 55 IP addresses. Okay? So everybody in the developer department is going to use a laptop which we have provided them. We don't have computers on premises. Let's imagine like we as provide laptop to everyone in our company. Okay? We don't have desktops. There are many companies in market of this nature, right? So companies don't buy desktop, they give laptops to their employees. Okay, and these employees can carry their laptop at home and work from home as well and work from office as well, right? Depending on different days they can do different types of things. So developers department require 55 IP address. Okay, and lastly we have admins team where we have, let's say, only 3 engineers and they need total of 6 IP addresses. Okay, so this is the layout of our organization. Now remember every network which will be calculated here will have 2 reservations. Every network that we are going to calculate here will have 2 reservations, right? That is going to be your network ID and your broadcast ID, right? Okay? So every department's subnet which will be calculated, it will be a small network. Na? What is a subnet? Subnet is a smaller piece of a larger network. Okay, it itself is a small network itself. Okay, na? So every subnet that will be calculated or carved out of this large network will have 2 reservations, network address and broadcast address. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 to every department. So what I'm going to do is plus 2 to every department. So this is going to give me a total of 9 IP address. So here I need 9 IP address. For the marketing department, if I plus 2, so I'll need total of 32 addresses. Okay, for developers department, if I add 2, I need a total of 57 addresses. Okay, and admins department, if I add 2, I need a total of 8 addresses. Okay, so this is our requirement as of now. Okay, so this is my requirement for every given department. Okay, lastly at the end you are going to arrange them in descending order. Okay, so what I'm going to do, the department which I need to calculate first, okay, that should have largest number of addresses. Like for example, let's say in this case developers require 57 addresses. No other department requires these many addresses. So developer has the requirement of highest number of addresses. So the largest subnet which is supposed to be calculated should be calculated first. Okay, so here we are going to create a sequence. So developer is going to be calculated first. Okay, so first I'm going to calculate developers, then I'm going to calculate marketing, then I'm going to calculate management, and lastly I'm going to calculate admins, fourth. So this is the order that I need to follow. Okay, na? So this is going to be the order that I need to follow, and in this order I have to do the calculation. So firstly what I want you to see is this. Okay, clear? So when you look into this network 192.168.23.0, the moment I see here, so what I can find out from this is there are 3 octets of network, okay, na? And only 1 octet of host. And this I can identify because this I can say just because of this value /24. Okay, so it is because of /24 that we have 3 octets of network, last octet of host. So this network is assigned to Pune. you cannot change the network. If you want na, so you can do any changes to the host portion, which is the capacity for Pune. You can make any changes to the capacity in Pune, but you cannot make change to the network which is assigned to Pune. Okay, clear? समझ में है ना? Okay. Now what I have to do, like first of all I am going to calculate developers, right? So when I am calculating developers, so when I am doing this calculation for the first department, developers, so how I am supposed to start my calculation? Okay, so I'm just going to change the size over here to 18. So developers का calculation ऐसा होगा कि the developers का start IP address, start, ठीक है, start IP address होगा, इनके पास end IP address होगा, ठीक है, और इनके पास सबनेट मास्क होगा, सबनेट मास्क, ठीक है. अभी स्टार्ट आईपी एड्रेस डेवलपर्स का एक बात तो फिक्स है, ठीक है. तो डेवलपर्स का स्टार्ट आईपी एड्रेस, ये 3 ऑक्टेट तो आप चेंज नहीं कर सकते, ये आपका नेटवर्क है, राइट? So you cannot change this 3 octets. This is your network. It will be 192.168.23, right? This is your first 3 octets. Your end IP address will be 192.168.23 something. So we don't know as of now कि host portion क्या होगा. But one thing we know, the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255. something. So this is going to be our subnet mask, right? So we are supposed to calculate the starts last octet, ends last octet, and the subnet mask in the last octet. So at least 24 I have written over here, right? Clear? So this is my developers department. Okay, Control A, Control Z. Come on. आपको दोपहर में डेटा देता हूँ लाइव में.
वो पासवर्ड रिकवर हो रहा है क्या देखो?
वो भी करके देखते हैं. ठीक है, तो डेवलपर्स का कैलकुलेशन स्टार्ट करते हैं. तो लास्ट ऑक्टेट हमें कैलकुलेट करना है. ओके, सो लास्ट ऑक्टेट का कैलकुलेशन ऐसे करेंगे कि 128 64 32 16 8 4 2 1. ठीक है, दीज आर द 8 बिट्स, है ना, ये 8 बिट की वैल्यूज है. नाउ विल स्टार्ट द कैलकुलेशन. ओके, तो obviously since we are going to calculate the start IP address first, it should be starting with the smallest number, right? Okay, so the smallest number in this case is going to be all zeros. So there will be 0 over here, 0 0 0 0 0 0 and 0. Okay, so this is your start IP address. So your IP is going to start with 0. Clear? ठीक है. Now you need to put the end IP address. Clear? अभी आपको end IP address कैलकुलेट करना है. तो end IP address में कैलकुलेशन कैसे होगा? देखो, पहले तो स्टार्ट IP एड्रेस को अगर आप ऑब्जर्व करोगे अच्छे से ना, तो इट इज़ समथिंग लाइक दिस, इक्वल्स 0. ठीक है, ये स्टार्ट IP एड्रेस हो गया. अभी एंड IP एड्रेस के केस में अगर आप यहाँ पे इन दिस केस इफ़ यू डू दिस, यहाँ पे 1 करते हो, ठीक है, और इसका आउटपुट ऑब्टेन करते हो, तो ये 1 आएगा, राइट? बाकी कोई बिट ऑन नहीं है ना अभी तक का, एक ही बिट ऑन है, और ये कौन सा बिट ऑन है? 1 वाला बिट ऑन है. तो if this bit is on, the value is 1 over here. So this is your first bit, this is on over here, ठीक है, its value is 1 over here, right? As a result you get 1 over here. So if this is your start IP address, this is your end IP address, you are getting only two addresses. Your start IP address will be like 192.168.23.0, end IP address will be 192.168.23.1, है ना? स्टार्ट IP एड्रेस 23.0 है, एंड IP एड्रेस 23.1 है ना? तो बेसिकली इसको आप यूज़ नहीं कर सकते, है ना? तो आपको कुछ और करना पड़ेगा यहाँ पे. मतलब ये जो स्टार्ट IP एड्रेस है और ये जो एंड IP एड्रेस है, इसमें टोटली आपको दो ही IP एड्रेस मिल रहे हैं. यू आर ओनली ऑब्टेनिंग टू IP एड्रेसेस ओवर हियर. According to this start, which is 0, and the end, which is 1, you are getting a maximum of 2 IP addresses which are of no use for us. We need how many IP addresses? To developers have a minimum requirement of 57. Okay, clear? So anyways, control Z. So this is not going to work out, right? So we'll need to do something different. Like what if I enable this one bit again, है ना? अगर ये bit को enable कर दूँ तो इसमें value कितनी होगी? So remember, two bits are on, the value of 2 and the value of 1, these two bits are on, so the last value you will get over here 3. So if you see your IP addresses starting at 192.168.23.0, ending on 192.168.23.3, you are getting 0 to 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Total you are getting 4 IP addresses. समझ में? तो here you are getting a total of 4 IP addresses. Still your requirement of 57 IP address is not accomplished, right? So what you have to do? You have to enable one more bit over here, okay? So if you enable one more bit over here, 1, so this will give you the end IP address of 7, okay? 4, 5, 6 and 1, 7. So you are getting a total of 8 IP addresses. Still your requirement is not fulfilled. You need a total of 57 IP addresses, but you are not getting 57 IP addresses, you are getting a total of 7 IP addresses. Clear? Okay, so in order to accomplish 57 IP addresses, we'll have to increase a few more bits. Like let's say this time I am going to increase these 2 bits. If I increase this one, these 2 bits, so my value here will be, so my value here will be 16 plus 8 24, 28 plus 4 16 plus 8 24, 24 plus 4 28 plus 2 30 and 1 31. Okay, so I am starting at 0 IP address and ending on 31. ठीक है ना? Starting with the value of 0, ending on 31. Total I will be getting 32 addresses over here. Still my requirement of 57 IP address doesn't accomplish this. Control Z, I'll just push a bit one more unit further. So this time again a bit on over here, and my end, if you count this now, so this should give you 63. Okay, 32 plus 16, 48. 48 plus 8, 56. 56 plus 4, 60. 60 plus 2, 62 and 1, 63. So you are starting at 0, ending on 63. Total you are getting 64 IP addresses. Our requirement was of 57 address. So whatever we required, we have achieved. Our requirement has been achieved, right? So as soon as your requirement is achieved, whichever bit satisfies your requirement, just draw the line over here. So the line will represent your network portion. Okay, so on the left hand of this line will be your network. And to fix this line in this place, you need to calculate a subnet mask. Okay, to fix this line in this same location, what you need to have is a subnet mask. Okay, and our subnet mask will be something like this. It will be 1 over here, 1 over here, and rest 0 follows. After the line, everything is 0. So remember, always in a subnet mask, 1 represents your network, 0 represents your host. Okay, so 1 is going to represent our network, 0 is going to represent our host. Okay, and before the line, the network always remains the same, host portion changes, right? So again, my network portion before the line is going to be 0 and 0 over here. Clear? So this is the calculation for developers department. And now in case of our developer department, our start IP address is going to be 0. Okay, so the start IP address for developers is 0 and the end IP address for developers is 63. ठीक है ना? And the subnet mask for developers is 255.255.255 dot CR. Subnet mask, last octet of subnet mask. 128 plus 64 gives you 192. ठीक है ना? तो 128 plus 64 should give you 192. And the same if you want to write in CIDR notation, so it should be /26. Remember, you have 3 octets completely filled with ones over here before this. So 255, 255, 255. These are all ones. These are 24 ones plus these 2 bit gives you 26. So 24 plus 2, 26. समझ में है ना? /26 ना. तो देखो ना, ये currently in this example you can see कि this is the 4th octet ना which I calculated just now, है ना? तो after this, before this 4th octet, we have 3 more octets before this which we didn't calculate, right? So it was 255, 255, 255, right? है ना? So अगर ये 255, if you convert this 255 into binary, how many ones you get? 8 ones. तो ऐसे 3 बार 255 है. 255, 255, 255 कितना हो गया? कितने वंस हो गए? 24 ones. और ये चौथे ऑक्टेट में, in your 4th octet, you have 2 ones over here. So now you have 26 ones. So your CIDR notation in this case is /26. Your subnet mask is 255.255.255.192. Okay. Your start IP address is 192.168.23.0 and IP address is 192.168.23.63. Okay. इसमें कोई query doubts है? I hope this is completely clear, right? Okay. So this was my first calculation, right? Now second calculation, after developers department, what we have is marketing department, right? So for marketing department, again we'll be starting from scratch. Okay. Control Z, sorry, so I was supposed to take this tool. So now we are going to start with marketing. So orange ink. Second calculation, marketing. ठीक है. So marketing is also going to start with 192.168.23, right? They are also going to end with 192.168.23. 3 octets we cannot change. If we make any change into these 3 octets, we are overlapping or conflicting with other network in some other branch. समझ में है ना? तो if we change anything here, 192.168.17 or 192.168.45, तो we may overlap with some other department, we may conflict with some other department, right? So we cannot make changes into these 3 octets. These 3 octets are same for everyone. Okay. Now to start the calculation for marketing department, what we'll do, we'll use the same thing, right? So I'm just going to erase a few things from here. So here these things should be erased. इतना erase कर देता हूँ मैं. So now remember this thing, we have actually ended on 63 over here. Okay, so we have ended on which value? 63. So the next department, which is marketing department, it should start with 64, right? And in binary, if I want to write down 64 in binary, it should be something like this: 0, 1, and then everything 0 over here. 0, 0, 0, ठीक है. So this is going to be my start. I'm sorry, Control Z. it is going to be 64. I'm sorry, yeah. So this is going to be my start IP address. So now we are going to start with 64 over here. Okay, so I'm going to start with 64 in this case. So this is my start IP address. Okay, so I'm starting with 64. Now my end IP address, I want to calculate my end IP address. So if I want to calculate my end IP address, remember one thing, the bit which was enabled should be enabled in start as well. Okay, if you don't enable this bit and if you just start your calculation from here, so just imagine like you are not enabling that bit and you are starting the calculation from here, you make it 1 over here. Okay, so your value will be something like 1, right? Firstly, this IP address 1 is already a part of developers department, first thing, and it doesn't sound a usual thing like you are starting on 64 ending on 1. If you start on 64, you can end on 65, 69, or maybe 100 or 200 or somewhere else, right? So the ending value should be greater than starting value, na? Clear? Right? So normally when we start mathematics, we start calculating numbers. So the starting numbers and the ending numbers, they have one thing in common. Starting numbers are smaller, ending numbers are larger, right? So if you get 1 in your ending IP address and start you have done at 64, so you are going into the negative direction, right? Which we cannot go because already that previous IP addresses, previous collection of IP addresses, we have assigned to developers department. So now in this case, what we have to do is we have to first enable 64. 64 is mandatory here. So 64, it was enabled in the start IP address. Again here as well, I have to enable it. And next, I have to enable one more bit over here, 1. Now this is going to make 65. Now this will make the value 65. So we are getting 2 IP addresses over here. My start IP address is 64 and my end IP address is 65. Okay, so I'm starting at 64, ending on 65. So this sounds well, but I have only 2 IP address, 64 and 65. I'm not getting like my requirement of 32 IP address. Like on this left hand side here in this requirement section, marketing department has a requirement of 32 IP address. So instead of 32, I'm just getting 2 IP address. So I have to do something over here. What I'll do, I'll go here and add one more bit over here, 1. Okay, the moment I add this bit, I'll be looking at my calculations. 64, this bit is on, plus 2, 66, and 1, 67. So this should give me a total of 4 IP address, 64, 65, 66, and 67. Okay, these are 4 IP address. These 4 IP address doesn't satisfy my requirement. I have a need of total of 32 addresses. I'll go one more bit back and add one more bit over here. So this time if I see, so here I am getting 64 plus 4, 68, plus 2, 70, and 1, 71. So I am getting a total of 71, 64 to 71. That these are 8 IP address. If you count 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. So you are getting a total of 8 IP address where we need 32 IP address. Okay, so I'll make one more change over here. I'll enable this bit as well. Okay, so I'll make 1 over here. Okay, so this should give me 79. Okay, so if I type 79 over here, so here if you count 64 to 79, you are ending on 16 IP address. You are not getting the required 32 address. In order to achieve that required 32 address, let's try make this 1. Okay, the moment I do this, I add 1 over here. थोड़ा सा अलाइनमेंट कर लेता हूँ इसको. So now I'll be ending on 95. If you do the calculation, 64 plus 16, 80. 80 plus 8, 88. 88 plus 4, 92. 92 plus 2, 94. And 1, 95. You're starting at 64, ending on 95. You are getting a total of 32 address, which was our requirement, है ना? So our requirement got satisfied. We needed 32 IP address. We got 32 address. Okay. Did we had any need to go one more bit on the left hand side? No, na. So basically we stopped over here, na. So here itself we need to draw the line. Okay. So we should draw our networking line over here, and this line represents a network. Okay. Everything before this line will be as it was earlier. Like in this case, देखो ऊपर में you can see above this line, above this in the start IP address, everything before the line remains constant. So this will be 0 and here will be 0. Okay, so you have to copy everything from above. Okay, so basically your start IP address is 64, your end IP address is 95, everything before the line is your network. So I copied this 0 over here, this 0 over here, right? Okay, and lastly my subnet mask. To make this line fixed in this place, we need a subnet mask, and our subnet mask will be like this. It will be 1 over here. Just a minute. 1 1 0 0. ठीक है, so this is our subnet mask, and if we see the subnet mask converted into decimal, it will be 128 plus 64 plus 32, which is 224. Okay, so this is going to be our subnet mask. So my end IP address over here is going to be 95. Okay, so my start IP address was 64, end IP address is 95, and my subnet mask is going to be 224, right? Okay, and last thing is my CIDR notation, which is going to be slash. CIDR notation कितना आएगा? Slash 27. 24 plus 3 gives me 27. Okay, clear na? So we are done with 2 calculations. I showed you how to calculate developers and how to calculate marketing. ठीक है ना? Right? Any questions over here? ये समझ में आना पूरा? Now third department again I need to calculate. My third department is going to be marketing department. नहीं management department. So third I am going to do calculation for management. Okay? So I am just going to my right hand side, and this time management. Third department, management, right? Clear? So now we are going to talk about management department. Okay, now in case of our management department, obviously it is going to start with 192, 160, 23. Okay, but remember the previous department that we have ended with, okay, has ended on 95. So what it means is management starts on 96. So management is supposed to start on 96. Okay, so management starts at 96. So 192, 168, 23.96, this is supposed to be the start of management department. Okay, now we'll erase everything from here and we'll start this calculation. Delete and then delete. So if I want to represent this management department in binary, the start of management department in binary, so it should be something like this: 0, here you will be 1, and here you will be 1, right? And the other side will be all zeros. So since we ended the previous department on 95, this department is starting with 96. Okay, clear? Okay, now one thing, in order to end the department, in order to complete the end, in order to complete the calculation by calculating the end IP address, ओके तो एंड आईपी एड्रेस कैसे कैलकुलेट करना है, इट्स वेरी सिंपल. Like you don't need to copy once over here and do things. The first thing that I normally do, that I usually do, this was the standard practice until now, what I taught you. Okay, I normally do is, like, I consider this bit gives me 2 IP address if I enable only this bit. Okay, this bit will give me 4 IP address, just double the values. So here I get 2 IP address, 0 and 1. Here I get 0 to 3, total of 4 IP addresses. Here I get 0 through 7, total of 8 IP addresses. Here I get 16 IP address. For management, how many IP address I need? 9. So here I am getting 2, here I am getting 4, here I am getting 8, right? The next bit gives me 16 addresses, right? Clear? So this will be completing my requirement, है ना? So I'll firstly draw a network line over here. So one thing is for sure, कि 4 bits will satisfy my requirement. Okay, then I'll start my calculation. This way. This will be exactly whatever I have written above will be copied over here. So the 4 bits are copied exactly the same way, right? ठीक है. Now the remaining 4 bits are going to be ones. Remember, if you start calculating a subnet, okay, in your start IP address after the network line, everything will be 0. In your end IP address after the network line, everything will be 1. Okay, so 0 represents your network ID. It is the smallest IP address of this network. Clear? 1 will be your broadcast address. Okay, see, these are all zeros na. So for this network which I am drawing over here, so just see, for this network, this is going to be the smallest address now over here, है ना? This is your smallest address and this is your largest address. Clear na? Okay, so this is your smallest address and this is your largest address. Clear? So now my end IP address is 64 plus 32 gives me 96. 96 plus 8, 104. 104 plus 4, 108 plus 210 and 111. Clear? So I'm starting on 96, ending on 111, and my subnet mask in this case, to fix the line in this place, I will need a appropriate subnet mask over here. 1 1 1 1. ठीक है, and the rest following things are going to be 0. ठीक है, so there are 4 bits on and 4 bits off. So the 4 bits on, ठीक है, will conclude you to 240, I think so, है ना? If you do this calculation, this should be 240. ठीक है, so your network starts on 96 and it ends on 111. ठीक है, and your subnet mask is going to be 240. In your slash notation, it should be slash 28. Clear? So this is our calculation for management. समझ में? So I showed you how to calculate 3 departments. Still I have one department pending over here, which is admins department, which require 8 IP address. ठीक है ना? So you have the calculation up here. ठीक है? Okay, you have all the calculations up here. See and try if you can calculate admins department. करके देखो, try करो. ठीक है, so I'm not showing you about admins department. ठीक है, you all have done this and calculation is completely based on this. Okay, so I'm completing this recording as of now, but admin department you have to do the calculation by yourself. Okay, ठीक है. Next thing, on the drive, actually I have shared you a location. If you look into your WhatsApp group now, so you will have something called some Google Drive link. If you click the link in WhatsApp chat, okay, I'll put it again one more time. Okay, So here you'll find something called ccna data. Where is it? ccna data. Okay, so I have shared this entire directory with you. Okay, and in this directory you have IP version 4 videos. So these are the videos of IP version 4 that you have to see, and you have to also see this, the new file which I am uploading, class subnetting. Okay, in this subnetting folder I am uploading the file which we are completing. Okay, finish.